I'm Julie Zenner along with Dennis Anderson, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
Locally owned National Bank of Commerce is merging with Republic Bank and focusing on growing the local economy, hoping to become an economic engine for the region.
Habitat for Humanity has a well-known national reputation, and now the local branch of Habitat is seeing a bit of a renaissance in the region.
And we'll have the week's top economic stories from the editors at Business North.
Stay tuned. Almanac North is next. And welcome to Almanac North. Thanks for watching. And it's hard to get my arms around the fact that this is already the last weekend of July, Denny.
You had to tell me that, didn't you? Summer goes quickly around the Northland.
Summer goes very quickly, and our time goes quickly too. So,
it certainly does.
Our first guest is here, so let's get started.
All right. Thank you very much, Julie, and once again, welcome everyone. Earlier this month, Superior-based National Bank of Commerce announced that it was merging with Republic Bank. Once approved by the Federal Reserve, Republic will officially become part of NBC. The financial firm that emerges will be the largest locally owned bank in the Twin Ports with about $1 billion in assets. Here to tell us more about this merger and the opportunities it'll bring is Steve Burgess, President and CEO of National Bank of Commerce. Steve, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank
NBC,
you,
of course, has been in a growth mode now for some time. What's your goal with this big merger?
Our goal is to become large enough to really be able to service the community and service it in a really big way. At the size that we will be after the merger, we can handle much larger loans and keep them within the Twin Ports, keep the decision making in the Twin Ports, and serve our customers.
Mm-hmm. Was this something that the two banks have been discussing for quite a while, or is it a recent opportunity that just kind of emerged?
It's relatively recent. We've owned 49% of Republic Bank for some time now, and the 51% just came up for sale, and we were the successful bidder on the 51%, and so now we will own 100%.
Steve, when did NBC come into existence, and can you give us a little history of Northwestern Bank of Commerce?
National Bank of Commerce?
National Bank.
Yes, we've got a history of 80 years of strong community development and growth within the Twin Ports. We've been stationed in Superior, and we will remain stationed in Superior as our headquarters. In that time, we've had one acquisition. That's been Community Bank, and that was I think it was about 11 years ago. And now this one will be our second acquisition.
Mm-hmm. Why is this a good fit for the two banks to come together at this point?
It's a really good fit to come together at this point because traditionally what happens if the large conglomerate national banks get involved, they tend to seek the deposits and pull the deposits out of the community, where this is an opportunity to have a large community bank within the community. We'll take our deposits and really utilize them for community prosperity and making loans within our Twin Ports.
Mm-hmm.
So is that how a bank grows its market share? And it's probably, once you start, it's a slow process, is it not?
Well, the market share of a bank, it depends on obviously your competition, but it also depends on the growth in the community. The Twin Ports has been rather slow to grow. We have not had a lot of stimulus to grow. Hopefully we can change that in the next few years, but the bank kind of grows as the community goes. I always say, you know, as we go, so goes the community. As the community goes, so go we.
Mm-hmm. Will customers notice any difference in terms of the day-to-day operations with their accounts or with the opportunities that might be available to them?
Thank you for asking that, Julie. Yes, the customers will see a little bit of a change, but actually very, very little. Most of them will be able to keep the same account numbers, they'll keep the same checkbook. We'll be honoring the routing number, which is the little number on the end of the check. We'll be honoring that for 3 years. As people reorder checks, we'll get in the new routing number of the combined bank. They can continue using their debit cards, credit cards, that type of thing. So there's going to be very little disruption for our customers.
There was really
Republic
some-
Bank customers.
There was something, Steve, that caught my eye on your website. It says mortgages are made fast, simple, and easy. How is that?
The mortgage process is kind of turned into a commodity, and we got very rapid ways of getting the information filled out. We use some intelligence that we use that comes into our systems, and we can get the deals coming in and going out very quickly. We like to say we're clear to close in 15 days.
Really?
And that's pretty amazing compared to the old mortgage process, the way it used to be. The customers will see a little bit of a change in our online applications with mortgages, but we'll have that available. What's different about us is we have the community service and the customer service that you go online, you get started, or if you come into the bank and get started, you have somebody to rely on, count on, and somebody that's managing the process.
You bring
all
up
the
a
way
good
through.
point. Is a lot of banking online now?
A lot of banking is online, and I'm amazed at the amount of banking that goes on online. The transactions that are going online now, it's another portal into the bank. It's another one that's got a service. We happen to have a really good app right now that we're using, and we're very pleased with it. A lot of functionality to it. Customers like it.
I imagine it really changes the way that people relate to their banks too.
It does in a way. It changes the way that people relate to the banks, but what we're finding is the customers really like to know that there's a bank behind it. They can
Sure.
do a lot on their phones, their computers, that type of thing, but to have a person behind it and know that they can call somebody and take care of it if they got a problem. Our call centers, our personal bankers are all located right here in the Twin Ports.
Now, both of the banks have reputations for really supporting local economic development. Why is that so important for you as a bank and as a businessman to be an economic engine around here?
The reason it's so important to become and actually be and actually compound it to be an economic engine, it's friends and family that we serve. And it's our friends and family that we're talking about when we talk about growth. It's serving their individual needs, their dreams, their hopes, desires, and making them actually come to fruition and make them happen. So it's really important to have that. And jobs in the community create prosperity within the community.
You mentioned jobs. Will there be any changes in terms of the personnel or the number of jobs, management?
Yeah, there's going to be some changes in that we are seeking to retain as many of the associates of both organizations as we possibly can. The roles of many of these associates are going to change. As you become larger, the generalist kind of, it's difficult to have that job, and everybody becomes very specialized in their job. They know it upside down, inside out, and backwards. So there's a lot of opportunities associated with a larger bank.
Do banks still have bank officers? And if so, where do they come from and what do they do?
Yes, banks still have bank officers. I happen to be one of them.
Okay.
An officer of the bank it's some additional signature authority. It's some ability to make decisions at different levels and involved in the policies and decision making of the bank.
I often see NBC listed as a sponsor at different community events, things, just a strong presence in the community. Where does philanthropy fit into your business model?
Philanthropy is a very important part. We have a very strong philanthropic community. We've got a very strong not-for-profit community. And the not-for-profits serve a very, very vital role in our community growth and taking care of some of the citizens within our community. We recognize that, we know that, and we like to support those types of efforts. And we spend a lot of money supporting that, so I'm glad that you see us around once in a while.
We were talking about mortgages a little bit ago, and I imagine that banking has changed quite a bit since the housing bubble burst. Are there issues out there that you see could become real potential trouble spots for community banks or the banking industry in general?
We had a housing bubble and kind of a burst, I guess you could call it, in 2008. Since then, there's been a lot of regulations. A lot of the bad players have gotten out of the market. It's very difficult to create stuff that is not regulated very, very strongly. So I think that if there's a recession or a bust or something that comes, it probably is not going to come because of overheating the housing market.
Mm-hmm.
Your website also says you're a bank of ideas. How
Yes.
so?
We have a slogan. We like to make more possible.
Oh.
And we often color outside the lines. And that's what I like to call it. And we're not traditional in the way that we go about solving a problem or solving an opportunity for a customer. So we try to do that. We try to provide expertise and opportunities for our customers to maybe do it a little bit different way and help them.
So if somebody comes in with a wild idea, at least you listen to him.
Oh, we enjoy the wild ideas. You know, sometimes there's a little piece that can really work, and sometimes it can all work. Sometimes it can't, but at least it's fun talking about
Sure.
it and seeing what we can do to make more possible.
NBC was involved in the Regional Economic Indicators Forum. Why was that a good exercise for you?
The Regional Economic Indicators Forum, or as we call it, REEF, we've been going, I don't know, I think about probably 5 or 6 years. We've probably had 10 or 12 different sessions that we've had. The REEF is a great opportunity for students to get up and, first of all, to study about the community, learn about some of the trends and things that are happening in the community. If they study it, they tend to start to love it. And so they get an opportunity to present that in front of probably 300 business people. So hopefully we can have some of those students retain some of their benefits in the Twin Ports. It's also important that we bring in a speaker every 6 months, and we want to have the speaker tantalizing or helping to develop some discussions or talk points, and hopefully some of those talk points will spur some ideas and help us grow and prosper. And there's always a networking involved in the REEF project, and it's amazing to me to see the people sitting around and talking and looking at the poster boards and that type of thing that really make things happen.
Steve Burgess, National Bank of Commerce. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being
glad
here.
to be here. So, Julie, thank you.
Thank you. Habitat for Humanity is well known on the national scene for its efforts to provide housing for families in need. Well, this summer, the local branch of Habitat is seeing a resurgence in the region. Last month, a new Habitat home was dedicated in Superior, and meanwhile, a Duluth house is nearing dedication and another project is underway. Joining us to share news about the rebirth is David Klana, Executive Director of the Western Lake Superior Habitat for Humanity, and Chase Bement is the Construction Manager for Habitat for Humanity. And thanks to both of you for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
David, a lot going on this summer, and I understand it's something of a rebirth for the organization. What's going on?
I think we're just finding traction in terms of how to serve a four-county area. I mean, our territory extends all the way from Silver Bay down to Carlton, Cloquet, into Douglas County, Wisconsin. And we have 2 program areas, and we're figuring out how to deliver services in each of these counties in a way that is manageable, but is starting to scale up.
Mm-hmm. Was there a little bit of a lull in terms of houses being constructed in this region?
There had been. Really starting in the mid-2000s, the organization hit some bumpy roads and tried some various things, had a fair amount of staff turnover, and then went through mergers. There were 4 county organizations, and they all merged over the last 12 years. And I think the best thing about the merger is we now have sort of a scale, a size of service area where habitats become like, you know, Mr. Burgess was just on with National Bank of Commerce. Things have gotten more complicated in building homes and banking. And so you need scale in order to effectively deliver services.
Chase, how do you get volunteers to help you build?
Well, we actually, that's actually one of our trickiest spots we can do, is we have to do a call out for everybody. We have a volunteer coordinator that's actually her job is to find everybody. But really, it's word of mouth. That's what we want the community, everyone just speaking about it. And that's how, they give us a call and ask how to volunteer with us.
So oftentimes they come knocking on your door.
There is times, that they do come knocking on our door, and then there's times that we come knocking on their door. So.
Are there specific skills that you're looking for in your volunteers, or is there really kind of a place for everybody?
There's a place for everybody. My job is also to pair the right person with the right job, so everyone leaves knowing that they contributed in a way and they felt like they succeeded. So if you're not quite familiar or comfortable with the saw, maybe painting, like I always promote, safety is the best thing on a job site, so even cleaning up on the site while everybody's working, it's huge helpful.
Yes, and I mean, we're not just a construction company, we're a mortgage origination company. We are a bit of a social work agency. So for example, I just recently recruited a volunteer who's going to help us with family selection and communicating with families that are interested in being partners with us in our programs.
David, do you rehabilitate older homes or do you always build new?
We selectively will look at rehabilitating older homes. It's got to be cost effective. We are very committed to high energy performance in our homes. In fact, the house we're dedicating soon in Lincoln Park has been a partnership with Minnesota Power. And we find that oftentimes building new, we can get better results for less money than rehabilitating a house. So if we are looking at rehabilitating a house, we bring in some outside consultation to help us assess the structure and whether it can be a good investment.
Regardless of whether it's new or a rehabilitation, I imagine there are some professionals on site helping the volunteers to guide them in the right direction.
We do. We actually, so I always like to say is we start with the professionals, they get us going, and then the volunteers can really put on the finishing touches. So a lot of our partners we partner with is for the training program, like the Union Carpenters or the IBEW. Our last house that we actually just finished that we're going to be on in Lincoln Park is actually a partnership with Lake Superior College. So their carpentry program actually built every little part of this house. Yeah. So it's a phenomenal home, and we use a lot of local manufacturers. So Walsh Windows went into that, and LP Smart set up in Two Harbors donated the material for that.
Nice.
So it is. There was a lot of community that was involved and a lot of professionals that came in and kind of helped move this project along.
Chase, sweat equity is a part of this too. He or she who perhaps is going to be living in this home has to also work to build the home. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We get them going, whether it's their family members or friends, and we have them come out with the volunteers and just help out. Sometimes it's painting, cleaning. Even if they can't do that, if they want to help with sandwiches or beverages or any kind of help in our organization, that works. So.
Really, the sweat equity is the heart of the model. These homes wouldn't get built otherwise because the families don't have the financial resources for the conventional market. But by engaging the families and community members who are also contributing sweat equity and engaging partners like some of the local vendors, we put together the pieces of a project and are able to build it in a way that's cost effective and below market cost.
Besides the willingness to invest that sweat equity, what are some of the other qualifiers for families who might want to get one of these homes? How are they selected?
Sure. Well, they have to have a need for housing, so something about their current housing situation needs to be inadequate or insufficient. They need, probably the most important thing I would say, is they need to have a real strong desire and understanding of what partnership's all about. The family of all the participants works the hardest, and if they aren't willing to learn new things, have new experiences, step out of their comfort zone, it just won't happen. So that desire to partner is really, really important.
So do people apply with the organization then to become a potential owner of one of these homes?
Yes, we have an application process. We have a committee that reviews the applications, interviews the families, and looks at what the family presents relative to a set of objective criteria. So, we have to be a fair lender. We have to comply with all the mortgage origination laws in the 2 states where we work, as well as the federal regulations.
At the end of the day, it's all about the people. Have you seen lives change because of this program and the work that you're doing?
Where do we start? I mean, there have been so many. We were up in Silver Bay doing age-in-place repair projects a few weeks ago, and one of the folks we worked with, they'd retired to the community. They'd bought this house that had siding with thick layers of paint, but underneath it was this beautiful cedar siding. The husband had started working on it. He passed away last fall, and there she is sitting midstream with this project, with also some access issues, the front and rear entryways to the house. And so we were there working with her, the community, the churches, and we got that house totally finished with the painting and staining, new entryway areas, and there were tears in her eyes more than a few times, and I will say there were tears in my eyes a few times too, because my life was being changed through that experience as much as hers was.
What about you?
I think for me personally, when I joined the organization, seeing the families and seeing them light up, I mean, they go from, not really seeing a structure, and then all of a sudden the house comes up, the walls come up, the color, their kind of dream is actually coming true, that they're going to be homeowners. And I mean, the kids get excited. They all, every kid wants to go paint their own bedroom, and mom and dad just couldn't get in there soon enough. I love that. I think that's the best part about it, is the excitement on the kids' face.
David, can a homeowner eventually sell the house?
Yes, they can, and that is, their prerogative. There's not a lot of incentive to do it because they have an affordable mortgage that's based on their income and their ability to pay. So we cap their housing costs, their mortgage, their insurance, their property taxes at 30% of their income. And we also currently don't charge interest. So
A strong incentive to stay.
a strong incentive to stay. And in some cases, if the value of the house, which is set by the appraisal process, is above what the family can pay, we put a second mortgage into place to protect the equity. But that stays in effect for the life of the first loan. So it's not like they can capture that equity quickly. They have to work the program.
And you have another home dedication coming up?
Yes, the house that you showed some shots just right now in Lincoln Park is going to be dedicated on Sunday, August 11th at 2 p.m. Anybody in the community is welcome to come and join us for that celebration. And then we're ramping up a project in Spirit Valley in that neighborhood. Both cities, Duluth and Superior, have been great partners in helping us acquire land. And it's great because not only is the family benefiting, the entire community is benefiting. These are often vacant lots that aren't generating property taxes, and so you build a house and all of a sudden you're looking at about $2,500 a year of taxes supporting our schools, helping to patch potholes, and providing other services for all of us.
All right, well, we're out of time. We'll have some information up on the screen directing people to your website. David, Chase, thanks for coming in, and thanks for the work that you're doing.
Thanks to both of
Appreciate
you.
Thank you
Thank
both.
you.
Thanks.
Let's turn now to the business news from the editors at Business North. The Duluth International Airport announced that passenger numbers increased more than 5% in the first quarter of 2019 over last year. More than 52,000 people flew through Duluth between January and March of this year. That number should increase even more with American Airlines beginning service here in May. More important to passengers, the average ticket price dropped by more than 7% in the first quarter, and prices continue to trend downward.
Great pay and benefits are available in one of the region's oldest occupations, but the job requires a rather different lifestyle. Business North examined the shortage of merchant mariners this month. Positions start at $41,000 annually and jump to about $65,000 after 1 year. While employees are sailing, they receive free food and lodging, adding value to their pay. Although the work is physically demanding, the biggest disadvantage is the schedule. Sailors are at sea 4 consecutive months before they take 2 months off. If you don't mind being away from home, jobs are available from most every Great Lakes vessel company.
The pressure to reverse state of Minnesota environmental permits to Polymet is on the increase. On Tuesday, 25 environmental groups asked Attorney General Keith Ellison to investigate the relationship between the Hard Rock Mining Company and Glencore, which has purchased a majority of its stock. And on Thursday, a group of 18 DFL state legislators asked Governor Tim Walz to suspend the permits pending an investigation into how they were issued by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. So far, Polymet officials have not commented on those letters. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
You can catch up on our past shows and keep up to date on current topics by following Almanac North on our social media channels. You'll find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and get updates about your favorite PBS programs by visiting the WDSC website, where you can find news about the station and our upcoming events. And Denny, it's another nice weekend forecast to get out and enjoy the summer weather.
And lots of things going on all over the Northland this weekend.
They will indeed. For Denny and the crew here at Almanac North, I'm Julie Zenner. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.